everybody, this is Ryan McClanahan with HistoryThroughCards.com. Hope you're all doing very well today. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about the life and career of Vic Janowicz through newspaper accounts. And this is a 1956 Topps football, and I've always wanted this card, and I never was able to purchase it. The 1956 Topps football set is notorious for two specific things, that being the Washington Redskins and the Chicago Cardinals. Both teams are actually short printed cards within the set, and I also like the design too. I think it's a really great design, and it has a lot of Hall of Famers and a couple of rookie cards that I think are kind of perfect for collectors wanting to get into vintage. These particular short prints are difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. They can be a little expensive and very challenging. When I was at the National in Atlantic City, I happened to have been lucky enough or fortunate enough to pick up this particular card, the Jack Carson, which is the #1 card in the set. And it is notorious as a short print and with a lot of other defects. I think because of the background is like a dark green, and that kind of tends to pick up all sorts of printing issues. And these cards also have problems with centering as well, as you can see here with the Vic Janowicz. Now, what I find very interesting is the position of the Washington Redskins within the two sheets. This is a set that is 120 cards, and it's Topps' first entry into NFL. So it's kind of a historic set. However, we don't have a complete set or sheet for each, I guess, series, if you will. There are just partial sheets available, and it appears that the Washington Redskins are at the very top. And what Topps did was that for every line there was a team, and there was 12 or 9 players that represented the 12 teams. For the first row, you would have, say, the Washington Redskins. The second row would be the New York Giants. Third row would be the Bears, and on, right? So a lot of collectors, I think, are saying is that the majority of the other cards are double printed, and that the Washington Redskins and the Chicago Cardinals are printed only once, and that probably is true. Again, we have never seen full sheets of these cards, so we're just kind of going on information, like just tidbits here and there, trying to kind of piece together what may have happened at the printers. And I'm not entirely sure if the printer was Zabel Brothers, which I think it may have been, or why the Redskins and the Cardinals are short printed. Now, I think the Cardinals are on the other page at the very bottom, and that would kind of make sense. Unlike what the 1952 Topps Large went through, a lot of collectors, I think, have been thinking that uh, these sheets were cut and just to make room for the printer or the cutting machine. I'm not entirely convinced that that's actually the case. Most of these cards, again, are they're not that easy to find, but you can find them. I got kind of lucky with the Jack Carson and with the Vic Janowicz. And with this card, it does look like it's been trimmed, but there's an easy way to find out if this particular card is trimmed. And what you should do is line them up together, and you can find out perfectly if one card has been trimmed or not. And in this case, these cards are virtually identical, and there's no variation in the size. So this is exactly how I go about trying to find out if a card is trimmed or not, and it has worked out pretty well for me. So let's get on to Vic Janowicz. and his career, which I think is fascinating. He is actually a two sport guy, and there are a lot of two sport players, but his is really interesting. Janowicz is also a Heisman Award winner, which is given to the best college player in the country each year, and that gives it an extra little something. If you want to collect Heisman Award winners, you might want to go for this card. And he actually does have two baseball cards as well because he played with the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is from the Austin American Statesman, Austin, Texas, December 6th, 1950. Vic Janowicz voted as top college player. Vic Janowicz, Ohio State's hard-working back, will be honored next Tuesday as the outstanding college football player in the United States when he receives the annual Heisman Memorial Trophy for 1950. Trophy committee, after polling sports writers and sportscasters around the country, said Tuesday that Janowicz received 633 votes to top an imposing list of eligible grid stars by a wide margin. Behind the 20-year-old junior from Elrya, Ohio, came in order Kyle Rote, Southern Methodist, 280 votes. Reds, Bengal, Pennsylvania, 231. Babe Parilli, Kentucky, 214. Bobby Reynolds, Nebraska, 174. Bob Williams, Notre Dame, 159. Leon Heath, Oklahoma, 125. And Don Foldberg, Army, 103. Janowicz headed the sectional voting in the East, Midwest, and Far West. Parilli led the South and Rote in the Southwest. 6 years ago, Ohio State had another winner, Les Horvath. Leon Hart of Notre Dame was selected a year ago. Janowicz, a 5'9", 185-pounder, was the busiest of the Buckeyes, playing in 9 games for a total of 277.5 minutes. He saw heavy duty attacking and defending, working at left half and quarterback on offense and a safety on defense. His 165 pounds topped the team. He took all the kickoffs, counted with 26 conversions, 3 field goals, found his target with 32 of 77 passes for 561 yards and 12 touchdowns, handling the punting, and led the Big Ten in points with 48 and had the most yards, 703 in total offense. This is from the Journal-Herald, Dayton, Ohio, January 19th, 1952. Army-bound Vic Janowicz gets send-off. All-America Vic Janowicz received an All-Ohio so long today as he traded his Buckeye football uniform for Army khaki. The boys from around Broad and High Streets threw a luncheon for the Ohio State triple-threader, and practically everyone was there. Vic departs Sunday for service with the 37th Division, and his send-off was sensational. Governor Frank J. Lausch, Mayor Jimmy Rhodes, University Vice President Bland Stradley, Athletic Director Dick Larkins, and head coach Wayne Woody Hayes were only a few of the speakers who lauded the Elrya lad who blazed a 3-year trail across the country's gridirons, won the Heisman Award, and was declared the outstanding star of this season's East-West Shrine Game. Governor Lausch, speaking of East-West Classic, said one of his proudest moments was when Tom Harmon, the former Michigan great, handed the most valuable trophy to Vic and shook hands with the Buckeye star. And so far as I recall, said Toastmaster Jimmy Hall, former Ohio State All-America basketeer, that was the only time an Ohio State player ever put a hand on Harmon. And Coach Hayes, who opined he might miss Vic next season, said Vic Janowicz was tremendously respected by the Ohio State squad. Success never went to his head. I regret more than Vic that he didn't have a great season last fall, but our T formation was not built to give him that chance. We worked him too hard at the start of the season since he was kicking off, punting, place kicking, passing, running, and playing defense. Turning to Janowicz, Hayes said, The service, turning to Janowicz, Hayes said, "The services always take the best, so the schools always lose the best, and that you will always be to me and the rest of the boys." Municipal Judge Rodney Ross presented Janowicz with a going away gift from the luncheon sponsoring Aganis Club, but said the gift was a military secret, whereupon Colonel Harold Hayes, the 37th Chief of Staff, rose and said, "Let's get him started right in the Army. Since this gift is a military secret, I will take charge of it," he said, and did. This is from the Knoxville Journal, December 4th, 1952. Pirate terms are acceptable to Vic Janowicz. The Pittsburgh Pirates announced today that Vic Janowicz, former Ohio State All-American football star, has agreed to terms and would sign a contract with them as soon as he is discharged from the Army. Pirate officials said that he had received a substantial bonus, and it is estimated that he got at least $25,000. General Manager Branch Rickey said Janowicz would go with the Pirates to spring training in Havana. The Collegian is a catcher, but Rickey says he can play anywhere. "I've signed 3 men in Major League Baseball who have given me a lot of pleasure," said Rickey. "Jackie Robinson, Billy Lowe's, and now Vic Janowicz." Janowicz worked out with the Pirates last summer, one day while on furlough. This is from the Pittsburgh Press, June 23, 1954. Janowicz considers joining Redskins in July, by Lester J. Biederman. Vic Janowicz is seriously considering giving up his baseball seat at the Pirate bench to join the Washington Redskins of the National Football League when they go to training camp July 18th. 24-year-old Janowicz, who was an All-America halfback at Ohio State before signing with the Bucks and a chance at a career in baseball, still must complete the 1954 season before his bonus tag runs out. The Redskins offer Janowicz an opportunity at more security in football, and at 24, the former Buckeye star feels he still can play the game with the established pros. The Pirates don't have too large an investment in Janowicz. He signed for a modest $10,000 bonus before the 1953 season and is drawing the $6,000 minimum salary. He was originally slated as a catcher but appeared only briefly last season, batting .252. This spring, the Bucco bosses decided he might not make the grade as a catcher and turned him into a third baseman. Thus far, he has played just one game as a left fielder. His chores have been limited to just pinch hitting and pinch running, and he's batting .91 as of this moment. George Marshall, owner of the Redskins, talked with Janowicz when the Pirates were in Washington just before the season opener, but Vic felt he might work out his salvation with the Pirates. Now he's undecided and is seriously thinking of turning back on baseball for a stab at football. "I promised Mr. Marshall I'd let him know by July 1st, but still haven't made up my mind," Janowicz said today. "This is quite a problem for me, and I don't want to do anything I'll be sorry for. I've also been contacted by one of the Canadian football teams, and they've even offered to place me in a baseball job next summer. I like baseball if I could play somewhere, but this football thing sounds interesting." General Manager Dick McCann of the Redskins said they haven't heard a word from Janowicz but are anxious to sign him. "We think very highly of him," McCann said. "He could have a great career with us. He's the kind of halfback Curly Lambeau likes. We'd be glad to sign Janowicz to a 2-year football contract. However, we don't want to influence the boy. We want him to make his own decision. We start our camp July 18th at Occidental College in Los Angeles, and I'd suggest if Vic is going to play football that he join us the first day." Charlie Justice is a good example of a young fellow who decided to report to us late. He joined us about our fourth game in 1950 and naturally didn't do so good. Justice was so disgusted he didn't even report for the 1951 season, but he returned in 1952 and 1953 and had two great seasons. Janowicz naturally will take over his complex problem with the Branch Rickey. Janowicz naturally will talk over his complex problem with Branch Rickey and John Galbraith and hopes to find a solution. He realizes he will be sent to the lower minors next season. He realizes he'll be sent to the lower minors next season at a low salary, but feels he's already wasted two precious baseball years. Speaking of baseball, the Pirates and Cardinals will try to play tonight at Forbes Field. The same two pitchers, Dick Littlefield and Harvey Haddix, who were washed out last evening, will work tonight. This is from the Los Angeles Evening Citizen News, Hollywood, California, August 20th, 1956. Football star Janowicz, girl recovering. Football star Vic Janowicz, 26, and Barbara Wagner, 21-year-old student nurse, who both were hurt in a traffic crash early Saturday, were showing improvement today at Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital. An attending physician said both were doing all right. Janowicz and Miss Wagner were returning from a victory party after the Washington Redskins win over the Rams when their car struck a utility pole at Eagle Rock Boulevard and Avenue 45. X-ray photographs were to be taken today to determine if Janowicz, a halfback, suffered bone fractures. Miss Wagner suffered a crushed chest. In an accident near San Bernardino yesterday, Redskins quarterback Al Darrow, 26, suffered a back injury in a two-car collision that killed his mother-in-law, Miss Berardino Allison, 43, of Ontario, according to the California Highway Patrol. This is from the Star Press, Muncie, Indiana, October 21, 1956. Mates plan $5,000 fund for Janowicz. Redskin halfback Vic Janowicz, knocked out of football action for at least this season by a serious auto accident, will get about $5,000 from his Washington teammates this season if their plans for personal donations are carried out. This was reported recently by the Washington Post and Times Herald. A club spokesman confirmed Saturday that the players were raising money for Janowicz. He said the Redskins organization itself was not contributing. Near fatal injury. Janowicz suffered a near fatal brain concussion in a Los Angeles auto crash after a preseason game August 17th. The Redskins spokesman said Janowicz, a former Ohio State star from Uriah, Ohio, is now convalescing at home. He said Janowicz is definitely out for the current 12-week season, and doctors say it is yet to be determined whether he can play in the future. He said if the club itself is not donating the Janowicz fund because the accident was outside the club's responsibility, Janowitz's football salary was reportedly $12,000. Post and Times Herald reporter Jack Walsh wrote that in a secret vote before the Redskins' season opening game, the squad unanimously agreed to contribute $10 a week apiece to Janowicz. This is from the Dayton Daily News, February 29th, 1996. Vic Janowicz dies, Heisman winner. Vic Janowicz, a Heisman Trophy winner who went on to become a two-sport player in the pros, died Tuesday. He was 66. Mr. Janowicz, a single-wing halfback and defensive back at Ohio State, played for the Pirates in baseball and the Redskins in football. He won the Heisman in 1950. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer in October 1990, but continued to lead an active life. Life is pretty tough, he said in a 1991 interview. It doesn't worry me a lot. There are some things you can't do like I did before, but you just change what you do. He was a two-time most valuable player on teams coached by Wesley Fesher and Woody Hayes. Of all our former Ohio State stars I have seen or heard about, Vic Janowicz was the greatest, Fessler said later. He did our field goal kicking, our punting, our quick kicking, was as fine a single wing left back as I have ever seen. He did all our passing and was truly a great blocker. On defense, he played safety. He was absolutely great. He excelled in every phase of the game. Mr. Janowicz was voted into the National Football Hall of Fame in 1976 and the OSU Athletic Hall in 1977. The funeral will be at Schoendinger Funeral Services, Northwest Chapel. Details were pending. Fate is a funny creature. I mean, who knows what would have happened if Vic Janowicz never got into that car accident in August of 1956? Would we be talking about a Hall of Famer today? I'm not sure. It could be that he would have had a very successful NFL career, and probably even more so had he not played 2 years in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, a organization that truly sucked back in the early 1950s. Um, he really didn't need to play Major League Baseball, but he wanted to, and he found out the hard way that baseball is very, very tough to get into, to break into, and then stay there. He probably would have had a better career in the NFL had he foregone his baseball career. And it's kind of interesting to see that Branch Rickey was a part of the Pittsburgh Pirates after he got jettisoned by the Brooklyn Dodgers. In any event, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it as always. Let me know if you have any comments on Vic Janowicz here, or maybe even the 1956 Topps football set, if you guys have a favorite card. And I also want to mention too, if you do want to collect the 1956 Topps football set, I highly recommend that you guys check out Chris from Stories in Cardboard. His channel has a set spotlight on the 120 card set, and he's completed, I believe, the majority of that set. And it is great because what Chris does is he breaks down every individual player that he has from the very beginning all the way to the end, I believe. I'm not sure how close he is to completing it, but I wish him good luck in that process. And actually, just watching his show on the 1956 Topps football set is one of the reasons why I wanted to pick up Vic Janowicz after I heard what he had to say about it. And again, with the Jack Carson guys, if you want to try to pick that one up, you can do it. It's going to take some time, and especially with all these short prints in the Washington Redskins and Chicago Cardinals subsets, if you will. Now they are considered, I think, subsets. Good luck with that. Let me know if you have any issues with that one too, or what your progress is. So, guys, again, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it as always. And until the next time, I will talk to you later. Bye.